Welcome to Bhagwan Ki Baatein, the YouTube channel in which we talk only and only about God and His people. The people who have attained God, the people who've shown the world the way to reach God. So we'll take up story of another great saint, Narsi Mehta. But before taking up Narsi Mehta, we would like to touch upon story of another great, Pipaji. And why? Because this story is related to Narsi Mehta. So this becomes a bonus for us, that in the process of knowing about great saint, or rather one of the great saint, we actually come to know about two of them. So the story goes on like this, that in the country of Gadimandal, there was a very, very holy king. And in his home, duty made its home. When an assembly of sadhus came to his place, he used to go out and meet them. He gave them lodgings in his place. He gave them to eat according to what they desired. He was brave, exceedingly powerful, generous, wise, religious, and a worshipper of Bhavani, Parvati. Bhavani was favorable to him. He had a son, a wife, an abundance of wealth. With reverence, the king was accustomed to worship of Bhavani. He used to rise early in the morning and perform his worship using the 16 materials. He offered her garments, ornaments, flowers, perfumes, or flowers having perfumes. He brought incense, lights, and made an offering of them. Seeing his reverence, Bhavani accepted his offerings. With reverence, he offered to her fruit and pan supari, and then also took a parikrama, which in English we call as circumambulating. Made her a namaskar, after which the king returned to his own palace and sat down for his meals. Now it so happened on a certain occasion that a great assembly of Vaishnavas, and they were all saints, they were going to different bathing places. They came to Gadimandal, the place where the king belonged to, his city. They were without desires and were indifferent to all worldly things. Undefiled by anything, they lived in this world. Such were these Vaishnavas. They were all Vairagis, saints, who came unexpectedly to that place. Men who in their former births had wandered from place to place and had performed sacrifices. Only to the house of such do the saints suddenly come. They don't go to all places. If one has observed Ekadashi, which is the 11th day of the fortnight, and served his parents, only to the house of such do such Vaishnavas come suddenly. If one has dug a well or a tank and made a garden, then only because of his good deeds do such Vaishnavas come to his house. Only to the house of one who has made gifts of a cow, food, and offered them to Krishna do these Vaishnavas suddenly come. He who in an infinite number of rebirths may have performed in this world extraordinary austerities, to his house the assembly of saints will come because of his good fortune and not for any other reason. The infinite number of kings' rebirths had at this time come to their fruitage. Hence it was that the assembly of Vaishnava Bhakts came to the home of Pipaji. Servants told the king that Vaishnavas had come to his city. He honored them and gave them the materials for their food. After performing his bath, he went to the temple of Bhavani as usual. He performed his worship there and presented her with offerings. He was continually worshipping Bhavani, and Bhavani ate the offerings he made. And then, after making her his namaskar, the king sat down himself to eat. Now Bhadrakali, also known as Bhavani or Parvati, then said to the king, "An assembly of saints has come to your city. I cannot, however, eat your offerings until the saints have eaten, the loved ones of the Lord of the universe, who dwells in the Vaikuntha," he was referring to Lord Vishnu, "whose slaves are the infinite heavenly powers. They have come to your house. Your good fortune has got no limit. The king now joined his hands palm to palm and made a request to her. What god is superior to you? He asked her. And Mother Bhavani replied, He whose limits are unknown even to Brahma, Indra and Shiva. He who dwells on the sea of milk, the husband of Vishnu, is superior to all. It was he who gave light to the sun and the moon, and by his power they act. So he, the husband of Rukmini, the primal being, is superior to all gods. He who assumed the avatar of a fish and killed the monster Shankchu by dashing him upon the stone. He, the Lord of the universe, the life of the world, is superior undoubtedly to all other gods. He assumed the avatar of a tortoise, a wild boar, a half man, half lion, the Narhari avatar, Vaman and Parshuram, and made the cows and Brahmins happy. The slayer of Madhu is superior to all the gods. That's why he's called Madhusudan. Indra and all other gods were imprisoned by Ravan. Rama assumed an avatar and his power he delivered them all. The king replied to the mother of the universe, Cause me to meet him, who is the chief amongst the gods. Saying this, he fell at her feet. Hearing his request, the primal mother said to him, You must go as a suppliant to the saints. If you, O king, worship them, they will cause you to meet the chief of the Raghus, Ram or Vishnu, whatever you would like to call him. If you asked me, Riddhis and Siddhis, a kingdom or wealth, I could give them to you. But to cause you to see Shri Ram or Vishnu is not my power. It is the Vaishnav saints who are glorious, generous, wise, wholly indifferent to the earthly things, and possess the glory of 6 qualities. Such Vaishnav saints, to whom the Supreme and the Eternal God has become subject, even these have arrived at your city. And with these words, we'll limit this capsule to only this part of the story. We'll be back with you for the remaining story on Pipaji, which then leads us to the story of Narsi Mehta Bhakt. With these words, we bid you goodbye, good luck, until we connect again. Sadar Pranam.